Good evening. That's the energy we're looking for. Is anyone excited? Me. Woo-wee. Are we going to have a good time tonight? So I wanted to say what a treat it is for us to have Daniel with us. And actually, I told him just before, right now, that I booked him before asking anyone permission. So I'm so glad you showed up. And we're going to have a great time. So if we could have applause before we begin, that's always the way I like it. Daniel.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. That is a truly triangular table. I'm not sure I've ever seen a triangular table before. I could make it, but the angles would be uneven. I'm not good at that. I do make things out of wood, and maybe it's just me, but it is deceptively difficult to cut a 90 degree of anything. It has made me appreciate people who are good at it quite a bit, and I could never make that. Anyway. All right. So, nice to be here. And does anybody know, sorry, it's a stupid question. Does anybody know if I've ever been here before? I don't think I have. Okay, because I think I've been in Eugene. I think. And I know, of course, I was in Portland many times. But I don't think I ever made it down here, and I should have. I'm glad to be here this time. I have been here on Zoom. During the pandemic, I sang for you guys on Zoom. Well, thank you for asking me to do that. No, for real. If you think about, that was a time. We got some feedback, by the way, in this mic. That was some time that obviously it was hard for everybody. My specific kind of challenge was, besides figuring out how to make a living, was also that this is too much to share before I've even sung for you, but I'll just tell you real quickly. For me, and it'll be a theme for sure throughout our evening, is that I have always wanted to be useful, like for real, and I'm sure you have too. I'm just saying, this isn't just me talking. Is I've always wanted to be useful, and I've wanted the music to be useful. So I have lots of songs about peace of mind. I'll sing several of them tonight. And when the world shut down, it was a time of maximum anxiety. And I had a full schedule, March of 2020. I had a full schedule the rest of the year. I was booked. And every single gig canceled. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, how can I possibly be useful in the way that I want to be with the songs that I've written that are kind of just right now for somebody in high anxiety when I can't perform? So when I say thank you for having me do it, that's for real, because that gave me the opportunity to feel a little helpful, to sing a song for somebody. You know what I mean? It made a big difference for me. Like I was saying about who said you said you used to watch my Facebook shows and then you quit them in a huff. But for a while you liked those shows until you couldn't take them anymore. But the same is true about watching those shows. Those shows, people thank me now for the Facebook shows I did, and I did somewhere 500, 600, 700 of them from March of 2020 until, still do them today. Every Monday night I'm still live at 6 o'clock. But then I was doing every day for a long time, and people, hopefully just from watching at the time, that I mean it when I say it was not just my pleasure, it was a gift to me that you were watching. It wasn't just a gift to you that I was on there. It was a gift in reciprocation, because I felt like I had something I could do, So actually, let's open with a couple songs about peace of mind. Maybe you're feeling no stress anymore. Maybe nothing is bumming you out at all, in which case I salute you and the person who made your blinders. and earplugs, and who disconnected your internet and canceled your newspaper subscription. Yeah. All right, here we go. So I would never normally start with this song, but let's start with this. This would have been a song I would have sung one of my earliest visits to LEC probably, and maybe this I wrote this probably in the year 2000 or so. The song is still smarter than me. When things go wrong, it's natural to wonder, what celestial rule did I break? When things go right, it's logical to ponder, what credit can I take? But the truth is so much easier. I don't need a master plan. I can live here in the moment, 'cause my life is in good hands. I don't need to know where the wind blows, 'cause God knows. I don't need to know what the future holds, 'cause God knows. I need never know how pain ends, how my heart mends. I can just let go, 'cause God knows. Still I find I'm crying out for answers. Guess I'm still craving control. And still I find I'm afraid of taking chances, as if I could damage my soul. But at this moment I remember it comes so clear to me that the minute I surrender, I'm as safe as I could be. I don't need to know where the time goes, 'cause God knows. I don't need to know what the future holds, 'cause God knows. I need never know how pain ends, how my heart mends. I can just let go, 'cause God knows. Oh, I need never know how pain ends, how my heart mends. I can just let go. I can just let go. I can just let go. 'cause God knows. God knows. God knows. Well, I used to dream out loud. Just being human made me proud. Now I throw my hands up in the air from disillusion and despair. My heart has taken such abuse. I've used my hurt as my excuse. It's like my hope has disappeared behind the shadow of my fear. And I wonder why they say that aging thins the skin. Then I remember I am only one, but I am not alone. I don't need to do everything, no. I can right one wrong, I can sing one song. I don't need to do everything. It's time to dive back in, yeah. It's time to live again. I am unjaded. What if you have to fall to grow? I've fallen hard enough to know. So what if life's not fair? Does it mean that I'm too cool to care? And I wonder when I stopped believing right will win. Then I remember I am only one, but I am not alone. I don't need to do everything, no. I can right one wrong, I can sing one song. I don't need to do everything. It's time to dive back in, yeah. It's time to live again unjaded. What kind of life would I live with my heart closed? What kind of man would I be? What kind of world will I be creating if I can love with all of me? If I just love with all of me. I am only one, but I am not alone. I don't need to do everything on my own. I can right one wrong, I can sing one song. I don't need to do everything. I am only one, but I am not alone. I don't need to do everything, no. I can right one wrong or sing one song. I don't need to do everything. It's time to dive back in, yeah. It's time to dive back in. Oh, it's time to live again. I am unjaded. Unjaded. I have never wanted time to go so slow as when I'm watching my little boy grow. when he took his first small steps and toddled by. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But when it's time, we're all gonna learn to walk. When it's time, he's gonna learn how to talk back. When it's time, there's no stopping that clock. When it's time. I have never wanted time to go so fast, paying dues like I'd be paying to the last, singing songs for friendly strangers in a tiny town. May not be the best way to be found, but when it's time, I'll write the song I'm born to write. When it's time, I'll step out into those lights. When it's time, yeah, the music will be mine. When it's time. And who can say where or when our story will end or begin again? We can try to hold back the time, but everything comes and goes, and nobody really knows. I have never wanted time to stand so still. Thought we could live forever just by force of will. But the day will come, we'll have to say goodbye, and we will never know the reason why. But when it's time, we have just so many years. When it's time, just so much laughter and tears. When it's time, yeah, the music will be mine. When it's time. We've all heard this kind of story. Somebody's diagnosed that their time is suddenly short, and in the back of our minds we wonder, what if that news was mine? Would we do more of the same with the moments that remain? Would we live like we were dying? Why wait? Why wait for that fateful fall, for that wake-up call? Why wait until it's too late? There is only today. We've all heard this kind of story. An earthquake strikes the coast of a distant land. It seems like every time we come together as humankind, we make a different choice. Kindness cuts through all the noise, and we're suddenly united. Why wait? Why wait for that pouring rain, for that hurricane? Why wait until it's too late? There is only today. Why wait? Oh. And when an ambulance goes by, everybody pulls aside. The holidays put smiles on every face. So tell me, what's the reason why we need excuses to decide we are part of only one human race? We've all heard this kind of story. Someone keeps her dream a secret all her life. Why wait? Why wait? 'Cause if we don't try, oh, that dream may die. Why wait until it's too late? Let the future fall away. Let regret evaporate. There is only today. Why wait? These days it seems like nothing's mine. Bank has my home, highway's my time. Even my phone and my TV are selling my memory. But still in my heart is a part no one can see. If an idea comes along, some new vision, some new song, if I've decided not to share, no one knows it's even there. When somebody hurts my heart, when something tears my life apart, how I cry, how I heal, what I hope, how I feel, what's inside is mine alone. My thoughts are still my own. Some things are still secret, some things are still private, some things are no reality show. I live for my wife, I love her, but we don't own each other. We are three lives intertwined, hers, ours, and mine. And now I see my little boy When he's upset, man, that kid walks into his room, closes the door. I want to beg him just to talk, but what a hypocrite I'd be if I didn't let him hear his feelings when they come. So I tell him when he's done. If an idea comes along, a new emotion switches on. You decide how much to share. You decide the when and where. As long as I know you understand that you can always take my hand. How you cry, how you heal, what you hold, what you reveal, how you live and who you love, what you cannot get enough of. My heart will always be your home. But this life is yours alone. Your thoughts are still your own. I had a really interesting experience with a person I thought I knew. This is a woman who runs a successful business and is also a fantastic singer. And so I've known her through music for a long time. I thought I knew her. And I always thought she was cool and funny and nice. Seemed like a fantastic wife to her husband and a fantastic mother to her children, and very generous with her money, and a truly talented singer, which is less common than you might think. And so I thought, man, this woman is a winner. And then I had a conversation with her for about an hour privately that we'd never had before, and she told me where she came from. And it turned out that she had come from kind of one of those worst case scenario childhoods where her home had been abusive and she'd left, become a foster child, had been fostered by another abusive couple, had run away from that home, and had gone as far away as she possibly could from that foster care system, never looked back, and here she was 40 years later, and wealthy, generous, talented, funny, nice, kind, liked, happily married. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, I had no idea. I thought you were just awesome. Turns out that you are like way more impressive than I ever thought. To have survived that and arrived where you are, it blew my mind. It really did. So I thought about it for a little while. I thought about that sort of misreading of the person I was sitting with and thought I knew, and wrote a song about it. And then I sang that song on one of the Facebook shows that you probably weren't watching because you'd quit at that point. And you'd gotten sick of me by then. You'd fled the building. And after I finished singing it, I got literally email or text from three close friends of mine. Who, I don't know why they were watching. You obviously didn't tell them to stop watching yet. You hadn't scared them away. I'm sorry. You're too sweet for me not to give you a hard time. That's all that's happening. That's all that's happening. So three friends emailed or texted me that night saying, "Hey, I just heard that new song. Did you write that song about me?" So as you can imagine, I wrote all three of them. Yes, I absolutely wrote the song. Of course, I wrote the song about you. There are some questions where you can't win by answering, and that one, of course, I wrote it about you, But then I started singing it in public, and a sort of a different awareness started dawning on me. And maybe you'll find this interesting. Maybe you've had this thought for years, which is that if anyone, I could even go broader than this, but let's start with anyone in this room. If we were to all say, okay, you tell us where you came from, anyone in this room would break the rest of our hearts. Most likely. Maybe you are or know somebody who has never been broken by an addiction in the family, a divorce, some form of abuse, a rageaholic in your life, homelessness, hunger, a natural disaster, a debilitating disease. Maybe, but very rare, I think, is the person who weathers an entire life, let's say all the way just to adulthood, without having something very hard happen. And as that realization has dawned on me that like pretty much anybody could break our hearts with their story, I started thinking, well, that puts kind of approximately everybody in the category of heroic, of stronger and tougher and more persevering and braver than they let on. Because, of course, most people, most of the time, thank God, don't share these stories. It'd be a miserable ordeal. I worked in corporate. I worked in three companies as a computer programmer, as you might have expected. Before, right out of college, I worked at three different companies programming computers, and I remember it's an insult to the word inane to describe the conversations you have in an elevator in a company as inane. But how's it going, Bob? Good, Dan. Good weekend? Great. And then you get out of the elevator. That's it. And you really would have been better off just saving the oxygen. Nothing is being said. You're kind of acknowledging each other's presence, but that's kind of the maximum that you're doing, really. And you're most likely lying. And they are too. How's it going? You do not want them to say, I went to the doctor, I got a lump on my prostate. I'm scared shitless right now. I'm for real. You wouldn't want them to say that because you don't know them, and so it would be just too much. Sorry to swear, but I might swear again. We'll see, But right, that would be shocking if you got in an elevator with somebody you work with at a company, and you said, "How's it going?" I got a lump on my prostate, and I'm walking around. I've got heartburn today. I've got a test coming tomorrow. I'm totally overwhelmed, and my wife is at home crying. You'd kind of regret asking, but it would also be shocking in its humanity, right? That's that glimpse you don't often get into other people, into the real people that you're sitting with, looking at, buying a burrito from, who's bagging your groceries or whatever it is. We don't find these things out, nor, again, it would be too much to find. I'm not saying we should all, crack ourselves wide open and walk around like that. But it does have the potential, even the awareness of it has the potential to shift a tiny bit the way a person interacts with other people. And there, I think, is for me, the value added. Not because I want to hear everybody's story. It's too much. Nor would I want to tell my whole story. You wouldn't want to hear it either. But if I'm aware that the idiot in the car in front of me who keeps braking around every corner for no reason, with nobody in front of them, 20 miles below the speed limit, if I'm aware, right? Sorry, you're learning too much about me, but that's just the way the evening's going to be. If I'm aware, if I even have the inkling of just the conscious awareness, even a little sliver of it, I'm a big believer in dabbling because I don't know if you figured out, like I have in my life anyway, my observation, there are no masters of anything. Nobody's got anything completely figured out. In fact, the more they tell you they're a master, the less masterful they are. Period. Mastery itself is a pursuit. The pursuit of mastery is a humble, self-effacing, endless pursuit. So nobody is a master of anything. So I'm talking about dabbling in this awareness. I'm saying literally the idiot in front of me who seems to be overwhelmed at the thought that the car is moving forward. And therefore, we must brake to gather our senses because 25 miles an hour is entirely too fast for this 50-mile-an-hour road. Okay? I'll feel angry. But what if I let in, this isn't a lecture because, again, I'm nowhere near excellent at this, but what if I remain slightly aware that the person in front of me might be having the hardest day of their life? Or it could be somebody who is, let's say, all due respect to anybody in this room who happens to be 90 years old. Let's say they're 90 years old and they really shouldn't have their license anymore. But the thought of giving up their license is like voluntarily dying. That it is a loss of independence and of freedom, and that they've already buried their spouse, and the thought of giving up the driver's license is so devastating that they're still going 25 miles an hour, but at least they're going on their own, in their own power, to the grocery store. They shouldn't, objectively, but it lets a little compassion creep in. Just a little. And a little's better than none. A little is better than none. This happened to me just today, actually. I can't believe I'm telling you this. I'm using this example. Just today, getting on the plane, the woman in front of me, she had to be in her 90s, and she was using a walker to get down the gangway, whatever you call that thing, the tunnel, to the plane, and she was slow. Now, I am not a slow walker, but I really did do this. Today, I really did do this. You know what I thought to myself? I am not elbowing past someone's grandmother. I'm not going to do it. And I don't care who's behind me, they're not going to either. Because I didn't even look over my shoulder to see the alpha male behind me. There definitely was one. Like, come on, But I refused because you see, again, I'm stereotyping, I'm just using these phrases, but you understand the example. You see a little old lady who's driving you nuts. That is somebody's wife, somebody's mother, somebody's grandmother. That was, long ago, somebody's baby. That's an adored person, you'd hope, right? That's a loved, adored person. They might be driving you nuts for the minute, but if you knew where they came from, the old country, the Depression, buried a husband who flew off in World War II and never came back. If you knew, or to Vietnam, a son who went to Vietnam and never came back. If you knew the story, you'd hug them, not yell at them. And all of that is, as is sometimes my tendency, a longer introduction to this song than the song is itself. You're welcome. Okay, anyway. I've never understood how you turned out so good with all that you've had to endure. No one expected you to make the best of you. The deck stacked against you for sure. The more that I learn, the more I admire how you never got burned being forged in the fire. Yeah, an ordinary mortal would have quit by now. With a life like a field full of mines. You're human, I know. but you must have steel in your spine. You never talk about when you first figured out that you'd have to go it alone. It breaks my heart to picture you, a child hiding out of you, so young to fight on your own. But still here you stand, and still here you are, igniting the world with your luminous heart. Yeah, an ordinary mortal would have quit by now, with a life like a field full of mines. You're human, I know, only muscle and bone, but you must have steel in your spine, and that would explain how you never admit any pain. So let me just say, that child has a lot to be proud of, but no longer needs to keep the world at bay. If you were mortal, you'd have quit by now. You've been counted out so many times. You're human like me. You can bruise, you can bleed, but you must have steel in your spine. Yeah, a mortal would have quit by now, but your light was determined to shine. There's so much more than they see. A superhero to me. You must have steel in your spine. You must have steel in your spine. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You like that song? Yeah, thanks. It's writing songs is a mysterious process. And is this on? Yeah, it's a mysterious process, and you kind of never know. You cannot know if it's any good. Absolutely, there's no way of knowing. I mean, you can know if it's terrible. And that frequently happens. But whether it's particularly good, there's no way of knowing. But when I had that response, I'm not saying the song is, Paul McCartney, but when I had that response from 3 friends, I thought, well, that touches something then. And I always, I have several people now that these aren't performances, by the way, when I'm singing these songs. I'm like thinking about them and feeling them for real. And so there's several people who come to mind now, not just the 3 people who emailed me that night. But I think of several people who have been through so much in their lives, and they go about their days being normal people, but they're not normal people. And those are just the people whose stories I know. And maybe I don't know if you thought of yourself when I'm saying that, or if you think of somebody you know, maybe your parent or grandparent. People go through things. Immigrants go through things. Refugees. My mother was born a refugee in Uzbekistan. There were Holocaust survivors, and her parents were, and they were making their way, and no one knows how. They were making their way from a labor camp in Siberia, where the Russian army had sent them for a good part of the war. When the Russian army set them free, they set them free in Siberia. How Rivka and Getzel, Gilbert and Rebecca are their names, Rivka and Getzel, and each a brother on their on each side, 4 of them, how they made it down from Siberia to where they ended up, which was American-occupied West Berlin as refugees in a DP camp. No way of knowing. They never talked about it for obvious reasons. But my mother was born on the way in a little clinic in Uzbekistan where her mother went into labor on the back of a donkey. And that was how my mother came into this world. And she was about a foot shorter than her brother, who was born 6 years later when they presumably had water and food, in the DP camp where they were fed. And also a foot shorter than her sister, born 13 years later in the United States. So that's the best hint I've got of the malnourishment, for sure, of the starvation that they were experiencing. Meanwhile, my mom, this is, again, just one story, my mom went on to live in Chicago, marry a law professor, and then go to law school herself, finished in the top 10% in her class. She said there were 5 or 6 women in the entire law school class she had. With 3 babies at home, she went to law school, finished at the top of her class, became an attorney for over 30 years at a series of banks. And it only recently occurred to me that she really never saw a penny of that money because my parents were so committed to their 3 boys going to college that they had checks to write for our tuition. We didn't go to Harvard, but still cost a lot of money. They wrote checks every semester for our college tuitions that they had saved. And only a few years ago, I said to my mom, I said, did we spend every penny you ever earned at every bank as a lawyer on college? And she's like, pretty much, But you would look at this little tiny little woman. She's shrinking, she's 83. She peaked at 5 feet, my mom, and she's about 4'10" now. You wouldn't think born on the back of a donkey in Uzbekistan. You wouldn't think had to learn 6 languages before she was 10 because her parents only spoke Yiddish. She was their translator as a little girl in the DP camp and then in America. You wouldn't think. You would just think, nice little lady, Sonia. Nice, well-mannered, smart. But no. Spine of steel. And this is one of billions of examples. Just happens to be one in my family. Anyway, there you go. I've been planting seeds on the ground, watering them with my sweat and tears, scattering them all around. Guess it's what I'm supposed to do with my years. The funny thing is I may know what I've planted, but never what will show. It always seems to be a perfect mystery. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. Sometimes I still like to pretend I know what the harvest will be, but I always find out in the end it was never really up to me. The funny thing is when I just do my work and simply trust, it always seems that life is looking out for me. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more, and I am only one of billions of seeds. When all is said and done, I just do what's mine to do and let it be. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, Whatever fails will fail, and what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. Do 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 do. Wanna sing that with me? Do 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 do. If I had a little more voice in the monitor, it'd be good. I'm kind of losing myself here. Shouldn't I be grown up by now? Shouldn't I have finally figured out a few things? I ain't a kid anymore. Didn't I go through this back then? Why the hell do I need to again? Who said time was a cure? For a minute I'm the man that I wanna be, then up comes some adult non-emergency, and my costume comes apart. And I've lost count of the steps and the slips and bad habits I was sure would lose their grip, but still clinging to my heart. And I'm wondering why I learn and I forget. Yeah, I learn and I forget. Oh, I learn like I'm just getting started. Why do I learn and I forget? Yeah, I learn and I forget. Oh, I learn that life ain't for the faint-hearted. Do 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 do. Oh, I wish I could say wisdom comes with age, but lately I ain't so sure. At the end of the day, I just hope I've made a mistake I never made before. Tell me why I learn and I forget. Yeah, I learn and I forget. Oh, I learn like I'm just getting started. Why do I learn and I forget? Yeah, I learn and I forget. Oh, I learn life ain't for the faint-hearted. Oh, why do I learn? I forget. Yeah, I learn and I forget. Yeah, I learn like I'm just getting started. Why? Oh, why? Oh, why do I learn and I forget? Yeah, I learn and I forget. Oh, I learn that life ain't for the faint-hearted. Do 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 do. I learn and I forget. Do 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 do. Life ain't for the faint-hearted. No. Yeah. It is slowly dawned on me over the years that I overshare for a living, and that song is disturbingly autobiographical. Well, several of my songs are, but that one, yeah. Okay, so we have several more songs to do, and some of the more kind of fundamental songs. To paraphrase a line from a movie called Jerry Maguire, the ABCs of me. These are, so you've learned already, as I say, too much about me. But there are a handful of songs that aren't about a specific moment or just a phrase that caught my fancy or caught my ear, but really are about what I am attempting to do with 10 fingers and a voice and a guitar and a piano. And it's taken a long time really to get clearer about what it is I'm doing and in whose honor and in whose memory I'm doing it and for whom I'm doing it and why, because it's certainly not, I don't mean it, there's no bitterness in this, almost no bitterness in the following sentence, but it certainly isn't to get rich and famous, you know. It's not, there's no pathway to that in this next song. And not that I can tell. I'm open to somebody blazing that trail, but in the absence of that, this is a song that I couldn't have written when I was 7, but I could have told you that I felt this way exactly back then. I'm raised in a Jewish home, and I'm proud to be Jewish, and I love Judaism, but I also have never, ever been comfortable being in a small club that excluded everyone else. And that's I know that would have been true no matter what religion I was raised in, because every religion, like every club, like every country, feels the need to build a wall around itself, and whether it's to keep other people out or keep its own people in, depending, right? I mean, some religions keep people in. And some countries, of course, do too. But that's never been interesting to me. I've always been more interested in whether somebody was nice, which is not taught in religious school. I don't care what religious school you go to, they don't teach that it's more important to be nice than to be pious, or that it's more important to be nice than to be observant of the rules. The rules are first, nice second or third. But that wasn't my value system ever, which made me the weirdo in the family by a long shot. I mean, just, rolling their eyes at Danny's softness and, for real, and his hippie sensibilities, and of course I'm about as hippie as I'm dressed. I mean, I'm not a hippie at all. But like when we're reading, just as one small example, and there's examples in every religion, everything, everywhere. But like when we're reading the Passover Seder every year, even as a little boy, I was horrified at the story that has God killing babies, Egyptian babies, out of some, sense of collective punishment for the Pharaoh being a jerk. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense at all. And they're like, yeah, we know, Danny, we know. And I'm thinking, yeah, but you're teaching us this. And I just really don't think it's a nice story at all. And even to this day, I go to Passover Seder, and my brother looks at me like, please do not say anything. 50 years of discomfort with a story. 50 years. No one in the Nahmod family cares, but I stand by my feelings about it. Anyway, so all these years later, so that was when I was, a little boy in private Jewish school, right? Learning the religion to a T. I speak some Hebrew. I can read Hebrew. I've sung in synagogues in Hebrew. I know the holidays. I get it. I know the history. Proud of it. But I also stepped far afield, and I'm sure some of you have too, from the religions you were raised in, to sort of look around and ask myself whether there isn't a more inclusive sense of righteousness that wouldn't make the world a more peaceful place. So all these years later, this was right around, again, the year 2000 or so, that I wrote this song, and it said how I'd always felt, which is, of course, a great gift to anyone who writes anything, if it gets it right. You know what I mean? And this song got it right for me. So, and I've been singing it ever since for any religious group in all of the world's major faiths I've sung it for, and I will continue to do so until it does not need to be sung anymore, or until my heart stops beating. There's one power, invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. one power indescribable. And just speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. And we'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit or Jesus or Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem or Heaven's Door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, yeah. One power is what we are. One power. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby. The serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon. For it's love that's most deep. It's one power. Oh, what we are is one. It's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of the love in you and me. There's a thank you, that's nice of you. There's a really beautiful movie about soccer called Bend It Like Beckham. And there was a line in Bend It Like Beckham that hit me like a lightning bolt. Because for years and years, I mean, so I went to LA to make a living making music. And I knew I was the heretic in the family. I mean, like to the extent my older brother's an Orthodox rabbi, and my younger brother is married to an Orthodox woman, and he goes along with it. Like they've raised their kids in private Jewish schools, and so I am truly an outlier. I mean, make no mistake, and I'm sure some of you have been told this or given this impression over the years that there's somebody you're disappointing by not staying in the fold. You know, that you're letting down your brothers and sisters, or your kids, or your parents, or your grandparents. And I was certainly given that impression by different members of my family for not marrying somebody Jewish, and for all these sorts of things. And then in the movie Bend It Like Beckham, it's about a teenage girl, Pakistani girl, whose parents moved from Pakistan to London to give their kids a better life, quote unquote. Same idea of people coming to America all these years, and but they would not let their teenage girl play soccer because girls don't play soccer in their mind. She had to wear shorts, and there's physical contact, and especially her father, traditional Pakistani Muslim man, would have none of it. And he banned soccer, and it was her singular passion, and she was brilliant at it, right? And the movie is about the tension of her pursuing this passion secretly because her father banned it. But then there's a moment, sorry to ruin it if you haven't seen the movie, but it's a really beautiful movie. And there's a moment, though, when they finally have it out, when the father finds out that she's been playing soccer on the sly, and there's a picture of grandfather, Babaji is the word in Hindi, I think. There's a picture of grandfather up on the mantle in their house in London, and he has repeatedly throughout the movie, and obviously implicitly throughout her life, pointed at the picture of Babaji and saying, Babaji, your Babaji would not want you to be running around in shorts, with English boys playing soccer. You're and in this one moment where they have it out, finally have it out, he says one more time, "You are shaming your grandfather." And she says, "What if Babaji wants me to play soccer?" Because he's gone, right? "What if he wants me to be happy? What if he wanted you to move to London so that I could be what I want to be, so that I could be excellent at soccer like I am? What if Babaji is proud of me for being great at soccer? You don't know." And that was, I had probably written One Power maybe 10 or 15 years earlier, maybe 10 years earlier since when I wrote that song, because when I saw that movie, but it was relevant. It hit me hard because all these years I'm singing for anybody who will have me, right? I'm not a cantor for a synagogue. I've sung in many synagogues. I enjoy it. But I've also sung in Mormon places and Buddhist places and Baha'i places and Hindu places, tons and tons of interfaith events. I'll sing truly, right? My record label is called Humanity Music. This is a thing that it's pretentious to say animates me, but it is the thing that I'm trying to do, and I don't even know what it really is, except make the world a tiny bit more peaceful and more connected and a little kinder through songs. It's a grand ambition, and I don't actually have a grand ambition about it. Whatever it does, it does. It's not actually my business what good it does. I just know what my intention is, right? But all these years of my parents not having any idea, my whole family not having any idea, where the hell is Danny singing? What's he doing? Singing at the Crystal Cathedral, I sang there at the, Robert Schuller's old place, and where is he singing? Why is he singing in churches? And they would, I'm not trying to badmouth my parents, but multiple members of the family would whip out that, you're bringing shame. Our entire family was wiped out for being Jewish, and you're abandoning the Jewishness of our family. And when I saw that line, I thought, wait. No, I'm not. I am honoring my family by doing a tiny bit. This, again, not to sound grand, because all we have is a tiny bit, most of us, most of the time. I am actually doing it to make the next Holocaust a little less likely. I'm actually doing it to echo, as an echo of the cries of my family that were silenced, family that their photo was never taken, their names are lost to history. My grandparents left the town in Poland overnight because they heard the Nazi army was coming, and they didn't want to be there when the Nazis arrived. They didn't know, nobody knew what they were doing yet. It was brand new. This was the invasion, September 1939, of Poland. They left, and they left their family behind. The rest of their family did not want to come. Their parents, their grandparents, their uncles, their aunts, their brothers, sisters, nephews, and nieces stayed behind. The 4 of them crossed over into Russia. That's how they ended up in Siberia. The next day, their entire family was erased. The Nazi army arrived, and presumably there's a mass grave with them and every other Jewish person in that town. That's what my grandparents came to America shell-shocked from, right? And we all, there are stories in this room like that, all kinds of different backgrounds. You know, a couple of you will probably tell me after, and I'm open to it. You know, my grandparents were from Bulgaria. My grandparents, you know, there's stories. There are stories. Immigrants and refugees, man. Hell on earth they go through. And it's one of the actually truly, and this is not, you can take it politically if you want, but it's not a political statement at all. It's one of the truly shocking things to me about anybody who would vilify an immigrant or a refugee without considering for a minute what they've been through and what America has meant to the world as a beacon, because that's what it was for my grandparents. America, my mom used to say that her parents, they trekked across Europe because America was paved with gold. America was a free and safe place. Free and safe. And so they trekked across Europe to get to West Berlin, American occupied. And they had a distant relative who sponsored them to move to Chicago. Sponsored over 100 people to move to Chicago. Anyone they recognized, these relatives I never met, anyone they recognized in the Book of Survivors, there were books of Jewish survivors, they sponsored over 100 people to sleep on the floor in their living room, to co-sign leases and loans, to get their kids enrolled in school, to show them how to buy groceries and how to ride the bus, to get them their first jobs, to get them their first apartments. That's how they came to America, shell-shocked, blitzed out of their mind, and filled with so much grief and guilt for having survived, and anger. They never recovered. These weren't happy people, you know. And that's another story of immigrants and refugees. They suffer, and if they do get here, they're not whole when they get here. It just shocks me that people would consider a refugee or an immigrant less than instead of more than, because the courage and the strength it takes, I don't think I would have it to trek across Europe or whatever else, what people do, to get on a raft, whatever it is. It's desperation to save your children's lives, never mind your own, whatever it is. Anyway, like I said, to me, that's not political at all. That's just that's just an observation. Being myself the child of first-generation Americans and immigrants and refugees. So all that to say, one power is the little thing I can say in response to where my family, what my family went through and what it came through to arrive. Talk about steel in your spine. And again, mine is just one story. I just happen to have the microphone. Your stories are, I promise you, I know full well that your story is just as dramatic and heartbreaking and powerful in its own way. It's different, but it's the same. You know, there are no Native Americans except for Native Americans. If you want to go back thousands, even hundreds of years, there are no Native Americans. We all arrived here, and almost always in some pretty desperate straits, one way or another. It was an escape from something to something. So anyway, and like I said, it's not political unless you hear it that way. It's not political at all to me. That's just a story of people making their way to this incredible country. So a couple more songs to do for you. This next song, what time is it? Yeah, I'm going to start getting to. Oh no, we're still good on time, right? Are you all? I have no idea. I think of a concert as an hour and a half or so. Is that right? Do you think longer than that? Do you think shorter? You think 2 hours? Oh, now you want more music. You know, it's free on Facebook every Monday night. Now she wants songs. So this next song, talk about like doing a little thing. Like I say, I don't have any grand. I'm not claiming the song is making any difference at all. It's not mine to claim. I'm just saying that's why I mean it the way I do. That's what it's meant to do. Whether it does it is not my business, and not within my control. What is within my control is something that our little boy taught us, and he's not that little anymore. He's grown 7 inches in 1 year. He is now exactly my height, and I know that's not a tall order, or I don't know what pun you'd use, but he's now 5'7", and he's 13, and he is and always has been an actually nice person, and we don't take credit for that either. He just happened to be a nice person, and I mean that. Like we didn't teach him to be excited about the things that excite him. That his thoughts are his own, but he does happen to be, we're glad to say, a nice person, and has always been a very kind kid. The kid who doesn't participate in gossip, the kind who doesn't exclude other kids, the kind who thinks bullies are not interesting at all. He's just that kid. And we got a phone call from his first teacher ever in school, and she 6 weeks into his first year of school, public school. There was a boy named, we'll call him Evan, who was in the school, who was getting in little bits of trouble as a 6-year-old or 7-year-old can get, throwing elbows and talking out of turn and just kind of, disrupting this class of 28 kids. That's a lot, But, and the teacher was super sweet, wonderful woman, and she was doing the best she could. But day after day, Jude would tell us about Evan getting in some kind of trouble, a little fight or whatever it was, talking out of turn. And then we come to find out, within a few weeks of school, that Evan doesn't speak a word of English. That he had just arrived in the United States from Vietnam with his little baby sister, an incredibly cute little baby, and his parents, all of whom seemed very, very sweet, but could not speak a word of English, none of them. So, of course, Evan was struggling in school. Of course. He didn't know where he was, who he was sitting next to, or what he was being told to do, of course. Right? And about 6 weeks into school, Jude's teacher called and said, "I want you to know what your son said today." She said, he is the kindest boy in my class. And I put him on speakerphone, and my wife's like, "Do not cry." And I'm like, "I'm definitely going to cry." And she said, "But today I finished reading a book to the class, 28 kids on the rug, and your son raised his hand, and he said, I think Evan did such a good job listening that he should get an extra point today." And a few months later, I found myself writing a song about how that moment reverberated for me. Lately I've been thinking about what motivates me to give a couple dollars to a stranger on the street, to hold the door, carry groceries, help a neighbor in need. When history repeats itself in headlines every day, solutions never big enough for problems that we face. As a man, as a dad, what difference can I make? Cause I know better than to think I'll be remembered for a favor or a quarter or a smile. Oh, but maybe before I return to sender, I can do one thing worthwhile. So I'm gonna try to raise a kind child. Sure would help if our boy went and got an MBA and took care of his artist mom and dad in their old age. But let's face it, Wall Street probably isn't in his DNA. But when his first grade teacher said she wanted us to know. It's Jude who always comforts any kid who sits alone. There's just so much pride my heart can take. My retirement can wait. 'Cause I know better than to think I'll be remembered for a fortune or a pension or a prize. Oh, but maybe before I return to sender, I'll have done one thing worthwhile. So I'm gonna try to raise a kind child. I don't want him to think the world is his to save. It's too much pressure anyway, it can't be done. I don't want him to think he has to be a saint, 'cause the truth is, saints don't have any fun. Mostly I just hope, my boy, you'll come to understand. No 401k or GPA can make a happy man. It's having roots, doing good, helping out where you can. So put down roots, do some good, take somebody's hand. And you'll know better than most what really matters, what makes living this life worthwhile. There may come a day your own kids will remember how their granddad used to say with a smile that he raised. We raised a kind child. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for having me. I knew I would enjoy the evening, and I have, and hopefully you have too, because it's not technically all about me. I know it's not supposed to be about me at all, but I have two songs to do for you to close. Okay, one of them I couldn't help but do it after I met the two nice gentlemen at the door today. Both of whom had fantastically country legendary names, even if that's not how they... Is that where your names came from, by the way? Is that where your name came from? Was it inspired by... Was it inspired by Merle? How about yours? No, you were before. Garth Brooks was after your time. Yeah. But Merle and Garth, I meet the two of them, and I'm like, where's Freddie Fender? And so I feel like doing a song I didn't write that's one of my favorite songs to do. I haven't done it in a long time. Yeah. So are you up for that? It's something a little outside the box. Then I'll go to the piano and close. All right. So the song was written by a hero of mine. I would call him a mentor. Can you call somebody a mentor if you never met them? I mean, kinda, right? I mean, certainly an inspiration of mine. A man named Steve Goodman. Steve Goodman was a folk singer in Chicago that nobody ever wanted to go on stage after, because he was just so lit up, so passionate, so hilarious, so talented, so enthusiastic, so completely and totally in and connected and so lovable that they still talk about him. And to this day, and he died in his 30s of leukemia. In about 1985, he died of a disease that no one knew he had because he refused to talk about it or dwell on it. Week after week, he would go sneak back to the hospital in Chicago and get his chemo or whatever experimental treatment he could get, and then go back out to perform, pour out so much energy and that no one knew he was sick. And when he died, he broke millions of music fans' hearts who were into the folk music scene. Maybe there aren't millions, but there are a lot, and there were a lot, especially then. And Steve, so much so that there's still tribute shows to Steve Goodman in Chicago regularly. He is still talked about with reverence for how beautiful a soul he was and how gifted he was. His big breakthrough as a songwriter was "Good Morning America, How Are Ya?" He wrote that song. And he was friends with every talented singer-songwriter who held a guitar at the time in the 60s and 70s coming up. And Chris Christopherson had heard the song, and Arlo Guthrie walked into a bar where Chris and Steve Goodman were hanging out, and Chris said, "Arlo, you got to hear this guy's Train song. It's the best damn Train song you'll ever hear." It's a direct quote, a famous quote. It's the best damn Train song anybody's ever written. And Arlo says, "If he buys me a beer, I'll listen to his song." And Steve Goodman played him "City of New Orleans," and it became Arlo Guthrie's signature song. He also wrote "Go Cubs Go," which, if you've ever been to Wrigley Field, they still play to this day when the Cubs win, because he was a famous and almost infamous Cub fan, because he not only wrote "Go Cubs Go," he also wrote one of the funnier songs you'll ever hear in your life, if you're from Chicago, which I am, called "A Dying Cub Fan's Last Request," where he mercilessly makes fun of how terrible the Cubs were his entire life. Have six. It's impossible to even summarize. When you crush a little boy's hopes like so many paper beer cups, year after year after year after year after year after year after year after, it's like that lyric. And the Cubs organization was actually pissed at him when he wrote that song. And they wouldn't let him. I don't remember if it was the national anthem. Something, they wouldn't let him onto the field to sing, even though everybody wanted him to, because they knew he was deeply a Cubs fan. And he actually passed away like a month before they won the division in 1985, which was a big year. It was the first year in like 40 years that they had gotten into the playoffs at all. And he never got to see it happen. But to this day, they still play "Go Cubs Go." That the entire Cubs team at the time played. Rick Sutcliffe and Ryne Sandberg, and I don't know if you know these people. So this was Steve Goodman, legendary for his love and his talent. And he was a good friend with a guy named John Prine, who was a brilliant folk singer himself. And John and Steve were each other's biggest fans and best friends for years and years and years, decades. And one day they were both drunk, and they decided that they wanted to write the ultimate country and western song, just as a joke. They were going to write a country and western song that included every important element of every country and western song ever written in one song. And to their amazement, and I'm sure to their great satisfaction, it actually became a hit country song, which was hilarious, I'm sure, to them, because the entire thing was completely tongue-in-cheek. But I grew up listening to Steve Goodman recordings, and in fact, here's a little name drop, really, but they still have an annual radio show on New Year's Eve on a folk show called, on National Public Radio, called The Midnight Special, and it's 4 hours of folk music every Saturday night, nationally syndicated, and it's broadcast from Chicago, and I was just on that show. On New Year's Eve this past year, the producer had heard of me through somebody, called me and said, "Would you like to be a part of our New Year's Steve," they call it. And I sang several Steve Goodman songs and accompanied other people singing them, and it was the thrill of a lifetime. It was a room they broadcast from WFMT, a big station, a classical station in Chicago, but very successful for a long time, about a room maybe this size. My parents were right there, grinning ear to ear, because the Midnight Special was a radio show that's been on so long that my parents listened to Midnight Special when they were dating, and their 60th anniversary is this coming March. So that's, if you can imagine how proud they were to see Danny on the show. So here is the Steve Goodman and John Prine song in honor of Merle and Garth. Performed really kind of exactly like Steve Goodman used to do it, which is not the way other people do it. It was all I could do to keep from crying. Sometimes it seems so useless to remain. You're the one who always tried to change me. By the way, Steve Goodman was a Jewish kid from a suburb of Chicago, just like me. So he was as country as I was, as I am. That is why I will always stay the same. And I'll hang around as long as you will let me. I never minded standing in the rain. You don't have to call me darling, darling, but you never even call me by my name. No, you don't have to call me Merle Haggard. You don't have to call me Charlie Pride. You don't have to call me Freddie Fender anymore, even though you know I am on your fighting side. And I'll hang around as long as you will let me. You're the one. Wait, what's the line? Wait, sorry, I got it wrong. You don't have to hang around as long as you will let me. I never minded standing in the rain. You don't have to call me darling, darling, but you never even call me by my name. Now it needed a whiny guitar solo, so it was a And unfortunately, at this point, they realized that they were done with 2 verses of the song and had still left out pretty much every important element of every country western song ever written. They left out mothers, prisons, trucks, trains, farms, dogs, especially dead dogs, and Christmas. And they were out of time, so into the last verse, they all went. Ever since the dog died and Mama went to prison, there ain't nothing round this farm that's been the same. And you know that when Mom broke out last Christmas, she drove the damn getaway laundry truck into a train. And I'll hang around as long as you will let me. I never minded standing in the rain when nights are cold and lonely. You don't have to call me darling, darling, but you never even call me. No, you never even call me, and you never even call me by my name.
go. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. I think I put Merle Haggard in the wrong part of that song. Actually, it's supposed to be a little later in that verse, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, it worked. Okay. So, all right. So one last song I'm going to go to the piano to do for you, and as is my tendency, I'm going to play every show business trick you can possibly pull at the end of a show to leave you buzzing and excited and racing to the car with a heart beating fast by playing you a very, very quiet and kind of melancholy song to close. And before I do that, I want to again thank you for coming. Thank you for staying, especially you. Thank you for staying. You did great tonight. You really. She couldn't leave. Okay, a little less thank you, but still, I feel like you could have gone and stood in the back at least, and you didn't. So, and a very quick description of the Nahmod family craft show in the back. Sorry, my table. It used to be 20 years ago when I first went to, let's say, Living Richmond Center. I had an album. I might have had two when Mary met me, and heard me sing a couple songs, and invited me to Portland to her place. And I had two albums at the time. Actually, two CDs or cassettes. Yeah, it was like 99 or 2000. First couple albums I printed cassettes. And now there's, now there's like 25 albums, because I never quit. There's a really great line, maybe I'm only dropping this out, I say things partly because I free associate for a living, but also because some of these things I find to be so helpful that maybe it'll be helpful to someone in here. And one of the smartest little things I ever heard, littlest thing I ever heard anybody say was Tom Hanks was asked, you've won multiple Oscars, you're beloved around the world, you're starring in the biggest blockbusters. What is it like to be the most honored actor of your generation? And he said, well, most of the time I'm just the last man standing. He said, I went to acting school with far more talented people. One of them got sick, one of them got tired, one of them got sick of the business, one of them got pregnant, one of them had to go home and take care of their mother, one of them just was sick, tired of auditions, and I just didn't quit. Last man standing, that's me, right? And so in case that's helpful to somebody in here, you have it's pithy. I never used that word before in my life, but it's pithy to say, that if you quit, you have if you quit, you have a 100% chance of not succeeding. But and I don't even know what success means really, except that when I meet strangers, let's say it just happened a few days ago. I was in California just the day before the trip. I was at Costco. Returning something, and the guy said, "So, you got any plans for the weekend?" And I said, I'm getting on a plane tomorrow. I'm going to Seattle and Portland." And he's like, "Oh, cool. What are you doing?" "Singing some songs." "Wow, that's awesome. You do that for a living?" "Yeah, 25 years I've been doing it for a living." "Yeah," I said, it's not a super straightforward living, but it's a pretty good life." He's like, "Man, doing something you love for a living. So is that success?" I mean, kind of. Yeah, hear me. Yeah. If you're shaking your head yes, then feel free to write a check towards Jude's college fund, which doesn't exist. Because it's not as simple. It's not simply success. It's also a little nerve-wracking and a little weird. I didn't mean this to be a setup actually for all the stuff that's on that table, but it is related if you think about it. If you think about it from my perspective, right? Because I've sold a fair number of records over the years, a couple 100,000 records, but not anymore. I still have them here, and I still listen to them in the car. I still listen to CDs, but many people anyway, don't have CD players. So what do you do in a world where music itself is no longer bought? Right, it's a real thing. It's a real thing for writers and photographers. It's a real thing. It's really a hard situation for a lot of creative professions. So I'm not uniquely suffering. I'm not suffering at all. I'm just, as an entrepreneur, I gotta diversify or whatever it is. One of the things I'm doing, by the way, I'm just mentioning it for no reason other than to share it with you in case if I'm fortunate enough to be invited back and I come back here and sing for you again. Hopefully, I will be able to sing some songs from my musical because I'm almost done writing it. And it's it's like 40. I mean, I've written 50 or 60 new songs for this thing. It's been years in the making, and I'm close enough to a finished draft that I'm going to start casting a few people to sit around a table and read it and sing it, and I'm very excited. I don't know if it's great, but I know that it doesn't suck. Like, for real, that's as far as I can go with there's no way of knowing. Right now I'm still my head's way in it, and I'm just crafting and recrafting these songs and the script around it, the book they call it, and we'll see if it's any good. We'll see what it does. But for the moment, I'm planting seeds and nothing more, So there's diversifying that way, but then there's also like the stuff that's on the table. And this is as commercial or entrepreneurial as I'll get during our entire show. Is just these couple of minutes to tell you what's on that table, because I have CDs if you want them, and I also have download cards if you want to just like put an album on your phone. That's easy. The main musical product over the last few years has been this flash drive of mine, which has 14 albums on it. Every song. I was telling you that it's 14 albums of songs that wouldn't get me kicked out of a Unity church. So I've written a lot of songs. But the 14 albums of inspirational music, it's about 11 hours of songs, about 180 songs on this little flash drive with every lyric on there and some extra songs and liner notes from the albums and cover art from the albums. So it's a little flash drive and a lot of different colors if you feel like choosing one. It's a USB-A or USB-C because I put a little adapter in there. That's the flash drive, and it's I'm asking $75 for 14 albums. So it's intended to be, I'm not calling it affordable, that's a lot of money for some people, and no money at all for other people. But it is intended to be a very reasonable price per album, for a lot of music if you want. Or an individual album, great, I've got those too. Then on the right side, all the way on the right, I have my son, he calls it Candy by Jude, and he makes lollipops. He starts from scratch with corn syrup and flavors and colors. These are vanilla lollipops that he colored. He called them like sort of spooky color for Halloween, and I had a bunch of other candies when I got to town, but I've sold them at the conference. And it is his own personal way of making money to buy things that his parents just are not going to pony up for. Like the last thing he made money for was a Nintendo Switch, which is a video game. If you don't know, and I think it was $500, and we're not buying you a $500 video game. But if you want to earn $500, you're welcome to. So he made enough candy and sold enough candy to buy it himself. And right now he's doing the Apple AirPods, these headphones. You may or may not think that's a good cause, but the candy is legitimately delicious. All I have, those are just suckers. Those are just regular lollipops. They're vanilla flavored, handmade, fresh, and clean made. They're nicely made. They're very carefully made. My wife is always watching, and for real. No, I mean, there's nothing. I wouldn't sell them if I was uncomfortable at all with the food that he's selling, and they're really delicious. So that's why I just have like 10 left or something. I'm looking at. There's not very many left. He's very excited because he's almost got the Apple headphones. Then I have my wife's jewelry, which she is a stay-at-home mom and a silversmith, and it's real jewelry. It's all solid silver. It's all handmade. It's pretty dazzling. She gets better and better at this. She's won a few awards. She posts things on Instagram. She gets orders for custom things, and she is as serious about the jewelry and as joyful about it, as into it as I am the music. But for her, it's her worst nightmare to stand behind a table and sell it to strangers. She's an introvert, and it would take her a month to build up to it, and it would take her a month to recover from it. So what I do as her affectionate husband is I travel with her jewelry. She makes it and hands it to me, and I sell it. I don't sell $1 million worth of it because it's expensive. Some of it's $50, $60, little pieces of silver. They're very nice. Everything's very nice, very carefully made. I mean, for real. She doesn't make rough around the edges stuff, as you'll see. And a couple of those pieces are over $2,000 because the stones are that fancy. Black opal from Australia and a 20-carat citrus. I mean, it's a wide range of things, earrings and rings, and so that's why there's shiny, pretty things there, because I am a very proud husband of a very talented artist wife. And then the last thing is in the middle there is if you happen to glance at it, I'm just going to mention it because talk about expensive or inaccessible for many people, I understand. because I couldn't afford to take the trip, but I am taking, just paying cash, but I am leading 2 tours next year. I led a tour to Peru this past May, 16 days with a gifted travel coordinator leading with local tour guides, air-conditioned buses. We spend 3 days in the Amazon rainforest. We go to Machu Picchu. We see multiple Incan sites. We spend several days in Cusco, several days in Lima. It is literally, truly the trip of a lifetime. It's $5,000 a person, so I know it's a trip of a lifetime. I mean, I'm not messing around with. I know that that's inaccessible to some, but for other people, it's doable. It's for a trip of a lifetime. It's 16 days, everything included for $5,000. When I first heard it, I'm like, and then I did the math, and I'm like, actually, for international travel, every hotel, every meal, you don't tip anybody. It's all in there. The only thing that isn't included is flying to Lima, which you can do from LA nonstop, probably from Seattle nonstop, I would think. And that's one tour I'm doing in May, and then at the end of May. And Peru is an amazing place. I'm not advertising it. You either are interested or you're not. It's no big deal. I get it. And then the second trip is England and Scotland in October. Also, about 16 days, everything included. We're going to sleep overnight in like a 1,000-year-old castle. In Scotland, we're going to see Loch Ness and Stonehenge and visit London for a few days, and Edinburgh and Glasgow. And this woman, Cerise is her name, she is truly brilliant at this job. You feel taken care of every step of the way. Every meal is incredible. You're safe every step of the way. The tour guides are as open-hearted as you would hope anybody would be. Our tour guide cried when we said goodbye to her in Peru, because she's like, no tours feel like this. This is what travel's supposed to feel like. A collective hug. 20 people at most go and to Peru, and it's really an incredible trip. So if either one of those trips is interesting to you, that's all it has to be, is just interesting to you. Just scan the QR code or take a little flyer. But all it is an email. Send an email to Cerise, the travel coordinator. She'll send you back an itinerary and a description of the trip. That's it. She won't hound you. She'll just tell you. She'll just give you the details, like literally day by day, what we do on these trips. So if that's interesting to you, send her an email. That's the end of the discussion of the table. And now one more song. Like I said, the Nahmod Family Craft Show. It's approximately out of control at this point. It takes me. How long did it take me to set up today? A solid hour. I got it. I got in here. Garth is like, "Are you ever going to do a sound check?" He was very polite about it, but I'm standing back there because I'm setting up like a retail shop. I mean, it's complicated, and I want to really, for real, I want to respect my wife's work and properly display it and take care of it. And it's very hard for me to handle these little pretty things. And then Jude's lollipops. I know how precious. It's a lot of pressure on Daddy. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, so one more song from the Water album. This is, if you don't know my albums, you don't know what that means. But I've sang planting seeds from this album. This is a stressful time, but that does not mean it is a hopeless time. And it does not mean, one of my favorite quotes is, no one ever made a bigger mistake than he who did nothing because he could only do a little. Okay? So you and I want a more peaceful world. You and I want a friendlier world. You and I want a more peaceful, harmonious country. Got it. Whatever party you're in, doesn't matter, right? We want that. Okay? How do we get that? A little act at a time. One compliment to a stranger. One showing patience to the person driving 25 miles an hour in front of you on the highway. One kind word at a time. Jude's little comment to Evan. When he came home, I said, Evan didn't know what you said, but he knew how it felt. Evan did such a good job, he should get an extra point today. It landed, Jude. You'll never know the good it did, but it did good. We are participating every day in the process of making the world a friendlier place, or we're not. But most of us, most of the time, want it and participate in it. We are not lords of the universe. We cannot snap our fingers. We can't feed all the hungry. We can't house the homeless. We can't end the wars. The media, the for-profit media, especially, I'm not trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist, the for-profit media literally profits from our agitation. It does. And that's okay. being a knowledgeable citizen. I get it. I was raised by two parents who read cover to cover the New York Times, the Chicago Tribune, and the Chicago Sun-Times every single day. 3 newspapers. I understand the notion of being informed. But if being informed means your blood pressure is up, your sleep is worse, you got heartburn, and you're giving up hope in a better, more peaceful, kinder world, you have Danny's permission to put down the newspaper, to close the website, to be a little less informed. If that means your heart can be a little wider open and you can smile a little bigger and trust a stranger a tiny bit more, that's the stuff that you and I get to do. We don't get to wave a magic wand and bring peace on earth. We can make our neighborhood feel a little friendlier. We can make a school a little happier. We can make a wife or a husband feel a little more loved. That's it. A little bit at a time is all we get. And this song just considers the possibility, invites you sincerely to consider the possibility that a little bit is enough. If I say that and you reflexively think, no, it's not, ask yourself, what's the alternative? To forever feel inadequate about what you are able to do? Because that is the alternative as far as I can tell. Either a little bit is enough or it's not. But what if a little bit is all you can do? Then to say it's not enough is to condemn yourself for a lifetime of feeling like you've been inadequately helpful, inadequately impactful, inadequately kind. And what if you're not inadequately any of those things? It's not a pep talk I'm giving. I'm serious. What if what you and I have already done is enough? How does tomorrow change for you? For me, it feels a whole lot warmer and a whole lot filled with possibility. I feel lighter and more open, more willing to be kind, more willing to trust. That's what this song addresses. I wrote it in 2006, and it still rings a bell for me. So we'll close the show with this, and then I'll be at the table for as long as you feel like hanging out with me. Thank you again for coming. If this is my last song, if this is my final day, if tomorrow I'll be gone, what do I want to say? If this is my last song, if it's my time to go, when my body's moved on, what will I have to show? Oh, but fortune and fame, they scatter to the wind. The things that make a name just don't matter in the end. But is the world a little more peaceful? Oceans and skies a little more blue? Is humankind a little bit wiser about the good that we can do? Does the sun shine a little bit brighter where before there was only rain? If so, then I'm glad I came. If these are my last words for all of the earth to hear, if all that I have ever been is about to disappear, if these are my last words, there's nothing that I need to say. I have only tried to serve. It's never been about talking anyway. So much hurt there is to heal. It's hard to understand. All I can hope to feel is that I am doing what I can. Is the world a little more peaceful? Oceans and skies a little more blue? Is humankind a little bit wiser about the good that we can do? Does the sun shine a little bit brighter where before there was only rain? If so, then I'm glad I came. Have I given hope to the hopeless? Has a hungry soul been fed? Has a child stood a little bit taller 'cause of something that I said? Have I left a little kindness? Have I eased a little pain? If so, then I'm glad I came. For that, I'm so glad I came. If this is my last song, what do I leave behind? What do I pass on if I am out of time? I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white. Bright blessed day, bright blessed day, in the dark sacred night, in the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know, than I'll ever know. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world. And I say to myself,
myself. What